media for coming out. It's good to be back home. Whether 1 or 2 or 3 days out, but home is home. When you touch down again back home, you feel settled. And I'm happy to be back here with my delegation, Minister Maru, Minister Lalang, and Vice Minister Tonpi were with me right through this leg of tour of duty. We went through Indonesia, had a successful engagements with leadership in Indonesia. Both the President Widodo had a successful bilateral with him, and also had the opportunity for bilateral engagements with the President-elect, President Prabowo. I want to say that Indonesian visit is part of our annual dialogue we've established in 2022 as very close neighbor. In fact, the closest neighbor we have. We cross into Indonesian sovereignty by foot. We share over 800 kilometers of land border, not to mention the maritime border space we have. We decided to ramp up our dialogue with them. Many of us see Indonesia with a dimmed lens or a very narrow worldview. Indonesia is a G20 economy. Indonesia has over 280 million people that needs energy, that needs supply of food, that needs trade to fuel the economy. And so PNG being the closest, and one of the 3 nations they share land border with. Indonesia shares land border with Malaysia, Timor-Leste, and of course Papua New Guinea. So they have experience in dealing with land border with nations. And we are amongst the closest nation in terms of bilateral relationship. And so the meeting with 2 leaders, the outgoing and incoming, in my view was a first, and for us PNG to give them the respect they really appreciated, where we were the first leader to meet obviously the incoming president also. And I want to announce that the level of relationship we have with Indonesia is now elevated to the highest. We have engagements, not now just government to government. Previously, as it was in long past or deep past, in the hindsight, we were just operating at the government to government level. But under the Pangu administration with our coalition, we decided that in all our foreign relations, we fine-tuning to have deep trade, commerce, and economic relationship. And with those nations that we visit, we promote trade and investment as part of our engagements. And I want to give an indication to our country that Indonesian market is ready for our produce. Likewise, Indonesian businesses have offered to come in for a shared partnership with us in business. They're going heavy in downstream. They've advised us to pick up their business model. They have a 49% equity arrangements in most of the large-scale investments in Indonesia. Similar to what we're doing on this side, where Pogra has become the model of 51 and 49% in terms of mining ownership splits. And so 3 weeks from today, Minister Maru will and Deputy Prime Minister will lead a delegation. We'll visit especially Freeport copper mine. Indonesia is now going full stream in not just smelting copper, but they're going full stream in moving from smelting copper and exporting smelted copper into manufacturing of producers from copper. And there's a good model emerging right next door to us, something that this body of leaders here believe we have a potential. We want to also migrate a nation from not just being producer and exporter of raw primary resources, but we want to go down the step of downstream processing and eventually moving to manufacturing. So the Indonesian visit was good. We've signed 4 MOUs, 2 in the transport sector. That means that licensed vehicle or licensed crafts, seacraft, aircraft on our side that is moving back and forth will have identity identity made known, and ease of using license on both sides to travel into Indonesia and travel, or Indonesians travel into PNG, PNG travel into Indonesia. That MOU was signed. We did sign an MOU on health. As we know, we have a lot of need for the health workers. They've opened up their medical schools. They've opened up engagements in the health sector. We've also signed up an MOU on education. They've given us over 2,000 spaces in the universities and colleges, and we've made a commitment for every student they sponsor. PNG government would also sponsor a student to study in the various range of learning facilities and faculties that are out there in Indonesia, from basic primary industry, SME level to tertiary level education that they provide in Indonesia. That was the Indonesian trip, and of course we went for the Pacific Island Leaders meeting in Japan. The 10th Leaders meeting was successfully completed yesterday at 2 o'clock. This PAM meetings has been going on since 1997. And the intention, or it's a forum where Pacific Island leaders come together and meet with Japanese leadership. I must indicate that the entire leadership in Pacific attended in person. Australia was represented by Foreign Minister Penny Wong. New Zealand was represented by Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, the Honourable Winston Peter, and the rest of the Pacific Island were represented by head of government or head of state. And it was a meeting that dwelled on not just climate change. Most small island states put forth the climate change issue and the protection of ocean, the rights. Papua New Guinea's contribution to the discussion, as usual, has always been on matters of trade, commerce. We point out that the entire Pacific Ocean is a huge space. Over 20% of Earth space is the ocean that is called Pacific. And whilst a nation may be small in actual terrestrial space, but they are big ocean states. Their sovereign territorial space is big. Inside this ocean space, and when you combine all of them put together, you can find substantial marine resources, especially fisheries and food resources in a planet that will be facing food security issues going forward into the future. So conversation from PNG context revolved around how can Japan as a partner nation partner the small island nations more so in ensuring that their resources are harvested properly, with empowerment back to the countries concerned as owners of whether it's tuna. And you all know that tuna, we have 60% of world's tuna supplied, caught from the Pacific waters. So PNG's contribution is very strong in that context, that resources caught from our waters must be value added, and the value added must translate back to empowering the Pacific Island nations, including Papua New Guinea, in the economic well-being. And Papua New Guinea also proposed that, and give compliment to the work Minister Jalta Wong has been doing, and Minister Maru has been doing in promoting two of our key areas in the first instance, the Madang Maritime Park, as well as the East New Britain initiative that Minister Wong has initiated because of the Rabaul port that we've opened up. We've indicated to our small Pacific Island states, especially Micronesian nations, that we have land available to be designated to give to you. We can work this space out in the next few years as we develop Madang and Rabaul. We could have special enclaves that is designated as your specific land, and you could bring all your cats into the country. On our own, we'll be progressing a national fisheries fish domestication policy. That means all fish caught in our waters must come back to be processed in our own country and not be exported as they are to grow economies elsewhere. So those conversations that were made in Japan, Japan being one of a nation that has a heavy concentration of intake of fisheries producers. And so Japanese leadership embraced all our suggestions. PNG also contributed additional to the discourse by saying that you could make intervention right now with using your technology, skills, and capacities, assist in desalination of water in small island states. We also indicated on possibility of using renewable energies, and we put something to the table in Palm that Pacific Island nations, instead of being relocated or resettled elsewhere, why don't we use technology and participate in land reclamation so that they could live in their own space. We also know in PNG, our small islands in the autonomous region of Bougainville, for instance, faces sea level rise and land issues. That concept on land reclamation was again re-emphasized strongly by PNG in the PAL meetings. Japan and us had a very nice bilateral with Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe did acknowledge Papua New Guinea's strong, enduring partnership. We put to them that over 70,000 Japanese who perished during the war, their remains remain uncollected as we speak. They in our waters and in our bush, wherever they fell. And a strong affinity remains with the Japanese people, and they've given indication for continued collaboration. Last year, Japan purchased from us over $2 billion worth of import. That's the reason why some of us have to do this round, to ensure that we keep maintaining those relationships. We here in PNG talk about why is Prime Minister traveling this, or Minister traveling this, or Deputy Prime Minister. But those engagements must be made to maintain our market, ramp up on continued sale of our produce to those markets. But in this meeting also we ask, we don't want to sell those raw produce. Whilst you're there, we're asking those companies who have a presence in PNG and new companies to come back in PNG into manufacturing space. And Japanese have heard us clearly. In that meeting also we did indicate we're moving down away from seeking aid and grant anymore. For PNG now it must be about trade. We're ramping up in our own trade. In this decade we want to go out of borrowing money and starting to live on our own. And so at that level Japan had us very clearly, both at our own individual bilateral meeting as well as in our combined meeting. So I'm happy with the two engagements. All in all, two big markets for us. Indonesian market is big market, and Japanese market is big market for our produces, as well as for us to source in capacities and source in business partners for businesses in our country. So a good visit all in all. Two nations ready to continue and work with us, and I am happy to report to the country that it was worth our trip to these two countries. The market remains ever open, the leadership remains close with us, and our people there ready for continued friendship. We did make commitment for Air Niugini to relook at certain international flights, especially to Palau and to Japan, and for us to reopen our flight to Japan. It's something that Air Niugini will do a study to ensure there's enough travelers to sustain that flight route, and something that we agreed upon. Next year there'll be a huge trade expo in Japan. We will participate, and Minister Maru will again lead a team in between now and next year to tidy the space of our investments being ramped up in marketing producers to Japan, as well as Japanese investment and investors coming into our country. So I want to indicate that Expo, PNG will participate strongly in that Expo next year.